Hi there, I'm Tides. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'll be sharing with you my top 10 survival tips for hardcore classic self-found mode here in World of Warcraft. Before we begin, I hope you grab a pen and a sheet of paper and then get ready to throw them away, because I promise you, you will not actually be needing them. These tips are super easy, I promise you. Tip number 1. Always keep cooking, first aid, and fishing skills up as high as possible. Now I know in retail WoW, you could get away without keeping any of these secondary professions up, but here in Hardcore Classic Self-Found mode, they are absolutely vital to survival. Now with cooking, of course, you can make a lot of food that gives you buffs that persist through combat. I believe they last for 15 minutes. They help with your damage and survivability. Now, first aid, of course, you can make bandages. I'm actually sad that they removed first aid from retail WoW. So bandages, of course, are good for healing yourself whenever you're out of combat. And then also, did you know that you can make anti-venom with the first aid profession? It's really great for removing poisons that you get from mobs. Then, of course, we get to fishing. So fishing, always an awesome profession that ties in very well with your cooking skill, your cooking profession, because you catch the fish from the sea, from the rivers, the lakes, and then you slap them on the fire and you cook them up to make some nice buff food. But did you know fishing in self-found mode is super helpful? Because remember, in self-found mode, you're not able to use the auction house, you're not able to trade with others. So let's say you are like me, you have blacksmithing. What if you've got an item that you want to craft, but it calls for leather, which you can't get if you have only mining and blacksmithing? Well, fishing is really good because you can actually find some items, some trade items, through fishing when you fish up these pools, these specialized pools, like I believe they're called floating wreckage or flotsam. You'll encounter them sometimes in the wild. So this is where fishing is good. Of course, fishing you can get these nice chests, and they'll also give you rares, like rare greens, rare blues, even trade recipes. So fishing is awesome, definitely a keeper, especially here in self-found mode. Tip number 2. Always keep buff food, vendor food, and weapon mods on hand. So buff food, of course, will come through your cooking profession. As you can see here, I've got Curiously Tasty Omelette, and when I eat this buff food, I can gain 6 stamina and spirit for 15 minutes. Now, when it comes to vendor food, I'm actually very picky. I know it sounds like a lot, a little extra, but I like to carry at least 4 stacks of vendor food. Now, 2 of those stacks will be full stacks of the highest possible food that I can eat. So for me, at my current level of 32, the highest possible food that I can eat on this character restores 874 health. So I carry 2 stacks of that. And then I also carry the cheaper food, which is level 15, and it restores 552 health. Now, why do I do that? It's because when I'm out questing in the world, I don't want to waste my hard-earned cooking buff food when I just need to restore some health. So that's when I would eat the vendor food from the NPC vendors. And also, I like to carry the cheaper one as well, because, you know, I'm always broke in self-found mode. So I'll have the higher level food, highest possible for me at my current level, and then I'll have 1 level below that, just when I want to eat just a little bit of food to restore health. And I'll carry 4 stacks of that, 2 of each. Now, what do I mean by weapon mods? So that's anything that can modify your weapon damage. So, for example, we've got heavyweight stones to increase the damage of my blunt weapons, and then I've got here coarse sharpening stone to increase the sharp weapon damage. So I'm always carrying these things in my bags at all times for self-found mode. Tip 3. Always craft, if you could, or buy potions and elixirs. So, of course, health pots are super, super useful when you are out and questing in every dangerous corner of Azeroth. They are sure to save your life. I'm always using them, so unfortunately, I'm not an alchemist on this guy, but whenever I get the chance, I do buy any pots that I find or discover in like chests. If you ever go into towns, always look around, explore, speak to every vendor that you can. Sometimes you can find them being sold, very rarely, by an alchemy supplies vendor
You need
or
something?
a rare goods
Have a
vendor.
good one.
So definitely, every chance you get, hold on to or buy any pots that you can if you cannot craft them yourself. Alright, here we are at tip number 4, and that is to always clear a path to quest objects, targets, chests, anything that you're trying to get to. Make sure you absolutely clear a path. We always want to practice safety here, guys. So do your best, look around before you pull, and always have a clear path or a clear plan of what you plan to pull next. You want to clear the area before you get to your next point, whether that be a quest object or just even fishing. Always make sure you have a clear path. Tip number 5. Always be aware of your surroundings, especially while in combat. Now, I know this tip could tie in with the previous tip, but this tip I'd like to elaborate a bit more. Especially while in combat, you want to be able to be aware of what's around you. So you want to do what I'm doing right now while you're fighting mobs. Take the time to turn around. Use your mouse to turn around and look what's going on around you. You don't want any mobs sneaking up on you and ambushing you. Now, not just in combat, even out of combat, I'm sure there are zones for both Horde and Alliance players where there are patrols that are infamous for ganking players as if they were players themselves. So I know for sure on Alliance side in Lockmodon, sorry, let me just throw something away. In Lockmodon, they've got the elite Horde patrol guard that walks along one coast of the lake. And of course, in Duskwood, near Darkshire, we've got Stitches, that abominable that is patrolling the roads towards Darkshire. And I'm sure you Horde brothers and sisters, you guys have your own version of Alliance patrols. So tip number 5 again, always be aware of your surroundings, especially in combat. Here we go. Tip number 6. Stick to green level quests. So if you open up your quest log, you'll see that quests have a font to them. So they start at like a red orange and then they go, they start at red at the very top, meaning highly lethal quests. Do not attempt them. And then they go to a red-orange color like this one over here. Then they go to a down further to a yellow font quest, and then they go down to a green quest. Those are the quests I want you to stick to. And of course, you get like a gray level quest, which means they offer 0 experience to you. But I want you guys to stick to green level quests. If you want to do harder quests than that, of course you got to be in a group. But if you're playing solo, stick to the green. So the reason why is because green quests are usually at your level or a couple levels lower than your character level, and I just feel it's a lot safer if you stick to green level quests. Now, you may be asking, what if you get to a point where there are no green quests available for you in multiple zones? Here's what you do. You gotta grind. You gotta grind it out. I don't know if you guys ever watched that South Park episode, Make Love, Not Warcraft, and you saw them killing the boars to grind out levels. That's what I'm asking you to do. So you go out and you find a nice grinding spot until you gain at least one level, and then you should feel a little bit more confidence and you can take on those quests that were, say, yellow for you. They will now become green to you. And I've got a great website that shows awesome grinding spots for levels, and they'll even show you that you can earn a little bit of gold. And I'm going to post that, I'm going to share that down below in the description of this video. Tip number 7. Add-ons. I'm about to share with you guys my top add-ons I believe are crucial for survival in hardcore classic self-found mode, and I'll present them to you in alphabetical order. So first add-on is Classic Bestiary. Let me tell you why I think Classic Bestiary is one of the absolute champs of add-ons for hardcore self-found mode. Now, you see here in front of me I've got an Elder Grey Bear. If I mouse over him, you see my tooltip in the bottom right-hand corner. It tells me the name of the mob, it tells me its level, and it also tells me the abilities it's got. So Claw, Growl, and Bite. So, yeah, sure, well enough. It's pretty decent, right? Here, I'm going to show you what makes it even better. Now, if you look at that tooltip, it also says there in parentheses, control for details. So, we're going to hold down control while mousing over this mob, and lo and behold, bam! Look at that. Look at that tooltip. That's a massive tooltip of information that's going to help me survive. So you can see all the abilities. It tells me exactly how much damage the Claw ability does. It tells me what Growl does. It tells me what Bite does. So obviously these abilities are super basic. Where this add-in comes in very extra handy is when you're fighting unknown mobs or dungeon mobs where they've got absolute atrocious deadly abilities that you know nothing about, and this is where Classic Bestiary is going to help you out. Alright, next add-on is called Deathlog. Now, Deathlog is one of my favorite add-ons. It's also cool and informative. So, the best thing about Deathlog that I enjoy is it'll flash a notification at the top center of your screen, and it'll play a sound as well. And it'll show you the name of a player, their class, and how they died, what mob they killed to as well. It'll tell you, and if you do the command for Deathlog, which is \DL, hit enter, and here it'll show you a record of everyone that's died. It'll tell you their name. Look at this, shout out to this one player. Sorry to say, Rusted Fart, a mage, human from the guild Gangsta Crew, died in Westfall to a Defias pillager. So not only will it give you the alerts at the top center of your screen, you can also pull up this record for your enjoyment. And the funniest thing is last words. It'll also show you their last words. So for example, look at this. Look at this guy who died in Westfall to a Harvest Watcher. He said, "Have you done the Harvest Watcher's quest yet?" Look at this guy who died to a Vicious Grey Bear here in Hillsbrad Foothills. He said, "I'm sorry, coach." Anyway, this is really cool. Also, I believe these heat maps on the map are from the add-on Deathlog. It's really cool. It shows you heat maps in each zone to show you the most deaths happened in these areas. I think it's so funny. Now, next add-in we have is Questy. What a great one. So Questy, if you pull up your map, you see all these icons on my world map, on the zone map. That is all from Questy. Questy is super useful. Shout out to all my vanilla players from back in the day. Do any of you guys remember the website Thoughtbot? What a champion, if you remember that website. Thoughtbot has now sadly been replaced by the website called Wowhead that people use today, especially in retail WoW. I think this is the closest thing we can get to Thoughtbot or Wowhead, but in Classic, and it makes it really useful to you because it shows you all these icons on the map, and they tell you where quest items are and where quest kill targets are. So if you look at this icon, it's like the icon of a bag or a sack. That's to indicate that these are areas on the map where I can get these quest items to drop from mobs. So for example, turtle meat. And it tells me I have 7 of 10 turtle meat in my bags right now, which is a quest item. And then if you look at these sword icons, that's to indicate these are quest kill targets. So you can see right here, it says the name of the quest, Down the Coast. It's a level 30 quest. And it says I have 0 of 10 torn fin tide hunters killed. So it's really awesome. And also another icon I've seen was like the little cogwheel icons. That's to indicate a quest item that you must interact with to pick up. So that's why I believe you absolutely need this. Not so much for survival, but more of an info add-on. But I guess it does help with survival because it helps you manage your time wisely, so you're not wasting time looking for said quest items or quest targets. So that's Questy. Now, another add-on that kind of ties into Deathlog, this one is called Tombstones. So, what Tombstones is, any Elden Ring players out there? So, Tombstones will show you on your zone maps actual tombstone icons of where players have died before. It's really cool. I like it. Right now, it's not showing any in this zone, I think. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull it up. Tombstone. Whoops. Tombstones. Here we go. That's the config panel. I'm not sure. I was questing here yesterday. Oh yeah, actually it is. Sorry. It is showing. It's not a tombstone icon, but it's showing a class icon. So I mouse over this one. It says Skippy6, the human mage, level 29. And it says the guild they're from, and it tells me what they were killed by. It says they're Snapjaw. It's those turtles that are roaming up and down the river here in South Shore. That's a quest I'm actually working on right now. So it showed the very spot that he died, and it says what mob he died to. So I think that's interesting. It's kind of like Elden Ring. You see what people have died to, and it is kind of informational. It tells you what they died to. Last add-on is called What's Training. So What's Training, if you pull up your spell book, at the very bottom it'll give you this tab and it says what can I train, and then it tells you all the abilities that are available now and even the ones that are available but are missing requirements. So for example, I have to do these warrior quests to get these. And then it shows you the not available. What I like is it tells you the level you learn them at, and then it also tells you the cost. That's the best thing. So as you can see, I have so many quests I have not picked up because of course I'm so broke in self-found mode. So it tells you the cost of all these levels. So with this add-on, you'll know, hey, I gotta start saving money for this spell or this ability. And then you can also say, there's some spells I definitely can do without and save the gold. Alright, those are all the add-ins that I think are super crucial for survival here in hardcore survival, or sorry, hardcore self-found mode. Tip number 8, keybinds and strafing. So, this one's a bit of a controversial tip because I know there are people out there who actually don't enjoy key binding. I know myself, I was a clicker. So first of all, Not sure if you are aware, there are clickers and there are key binders. So clickers are people, of course, who would rather click to cast their spells. So, they'll have their action bars at the bottom, and then they'll just click. They'll click to actually do an action. I'll admit that was me way back at the beginning of World of Warcraft, and it actually took me a couple years uh, to actually force myself to learn to keybind. So I'm not about to force anyone to make the transition from keybinding to clicking, but I will give you my word, if that helps, in saying that I myself was a very devout clicker. I didn't think I'd ever get into key binding. I just thought it wasn't for me, but I did force myself to learn it, and I am absolutely happy that I did, because key binding, when you get the memorization down, the muscle memory down, key binding is much quicker in game. You can just press the buttons. You'll have much faster reflexes. So yes, definitely get into key binding. It's very, very helpful. Now, strafing. So strafing is moving left and right in a very quick manner as such. So how do you do that? So you go into the main menu, you go to options, and then you go to key bindings, and then you go to movement keys. Or you can just type in strafe up here in the search window, but it's right here. So you see strafe left, strafe right. I have it set to A and D. So strafing is just really good. It's a really good movement habit to have, especially if your life is on the line here in hardcore survival self-found mode. All right, we've got two more tips to go through together, but before we move on, I just want to say thank you for being here. It means the world to me. And also, here I am on my higher level character to share these tips with you, and also a bit of a change in scenery. Here we go. Tip number 9. If you are ever in a group, trust your instincts over others. I can't stress that enough. If you ever find yourself having to group up with other people, especially strangers, I need for you to trust your instincts. Don't let some selfish punk rush you and lead you both to your deaths. So, I know there are some quests. It's inevitable. There are going to be some quests out there that are group quests, elite quests, and yes, you're going to have to group up with other people, and you may not have a trusted friend to group up with. I've been there. If you're in that situation, be sure to trust yourself. Don't let someone else's mistake cause your death. Please trust your own instinct. Here we are at last. Tip number 10. Don't get too cocky or comfortable. Ever. You always want to be scared in the sense that you value your character's life, because let's be honest, we only have one life to live. One life is all you get here in the dangerous Azeroth in hardcore classic self-found mode. You've got to learn from your deaths, and especially learn from your near-death experiences. I've got a lot of those, and I'm not ashamed to admit. Well, thank you for being here. I hope this helps. Safe adventuring, always. Hey there. Thanks for watching. Really makes me happy knowing there are others out there that enjoy the challenge of hardcore self-found. And if I can help share what I've come to learn from my own mistakes, and it helps save lives in Azeroth, then I can feel like a true champ. Before you go, let me properly introduce myself. I'm Tides, and I mainly play and stream World of Warcraft content here on YouTube as well as on Twitch. I've played WoW since vanilla, and I've never quit or even taken a break. I still lead a guild and raid in retail, but recently my main jam is absolutely, positively, classic hardcore self-found mode. I'm glad you found me, and I certainly hope to see you in the next video.